from the hit indie title that kept most of us sane during the quarantine, the Impostor from Among Us.
Hey, I thought you weren't going to do a moveset for Among Us since you already made them an assist trophy. You lied to us.
Roll the clips. To clarify a few things, does this mean that I think these characters can't have Smash movesets? Absolutely not. It just means that right now, I can't think of anything that I like for them. This also doesn't mean that I won't still try to come up with movesets for these characters. I will give it a shot. And as a reminder, this isn't an invitation for you guys to try and give me ideas for them, because I will still try and give them movesets, just please don't expect them anytime soon. You see? This is why you should pay attention and not just make assumptions. So, as I was saying, the Impostor from Among Us! Originally a character that I did think was better suited as an assist trophy, but after many months of mulling it over, my opinion has changed. I finally thought of a moveset for them that I not only like, but think works perfectly for the character thematically. But before I get into that, for the whole -30 of you who don't know what this game is, Among Us is a social title based around the concept of survival and deception. A group of players are all put into a setting, and those given the role of crewmates are to fix and complete the various tasks that they're assigned to. Meanwhile, a couple of those players will be given the role of the Impostor, parasitic shapeshifters who snuck their way into the group of crewmates and have made it their goal to sabotage and kill all of them. And this is the role that you'll be taking if you were to choose to play as this character in Super Smash Bros. The Impostor. Let's see just what strategies you can come up with to come out on top. So getting right into things, the Impostor would be a pretty frail and petite character. They'd have 2 jumps and no additional movement options. So, what themes did I come up with to help take this character that I previously thought wouldn't work well as a playable Smash fighter to make them playable? To recap what I said in my assist trophy video about that, I said that the most important themes of the game Among Us are the mystery and the strategy, and I still stand by that. However, after looking at things from a different perspective, there is actually one more important factor to this game. One that completely flipped on its head how I thought to approach this. The deception. The theme of mystery is very crucial to the game, but definitely more so for the crewmates, not so much for the imposters since they already know all of the answers, a point that I even brought up in the assist trophy video. Which is why for this moveset, the impostor has the main spotlight, as they are the general aggressors of the game already, so that just makes the most sense for them to be the fighters. Though yes, the other players will clearly know that you're the impostor, removing the mystery aspect, we could look at this from a different angle. One of tension. How often do you see players catch the impostor in the act, but then still have to prove it to the other crewmates that they're telling the truth? Meanwhile, the impostor lies to their faces and denies it all. The other players have to fight in order to throw the impostor out, without potentially looking bad and being thrown out themselves. It's a metaphorical fight, but one that any Among Us player will tell you feels very real, and now is being translated into an actual fight for Super Smash Bros. And players using the impostor would have to think heavily about their strategy in order to win that fight, which is already something that most people need to do when playing Smash anyways. But they'll also have to figure out how to be deceitful, which, when used correctly, you find will be quite easy with the tools that I've decided to give this parasite across their moveset. So, to start off with their jab, it can be a one-hit semi-spammable jab where the impostor takes the same knife that they use for one of their kill animations and simply stabs it forwards. It also has its own little gimmick. It deals extra damage if you can pull into your inner spy and use it on foes from behind. Harder to take advantage of in one-on-ones, but in free-for-alls, it's a dangerous trait to have while you sneak up on players distracted by something else. Something else I should also mention, and this actually goes for all of the imposter's attacks, they for the most part have little to no start lag, making them quick to come out and hard to react to. But they also have quite a bit of end lag, referencing the idea that most crewmates can't react to what an imposter does immediately, usually leading to their death. But if, say, another crewmate was around when you attacked, or if you miss your attack, that will lead to detrimental issues for the imposter. This could also reference how most common games of Among Us generally give a kill cooldown to the imposters, meaning that when they get a kill, they have to wait for a bit before they can kill again. Now for the dash attack, the imposter does a lunging jump forwards with them almost melting, and as they do so, their large teeth mouth opens to do a massive bite at the end of the lunge. From there, they kinda splash into the ground and quickly reform back into their crewmate appearance. The inspiration for this move comes from the general concept of dash attacks usually being a type of desperation attack for most people, hence why the imposter is willing to break character for a bit when using this attack. Willing to risk it all for the kill, just like what most people are doing when they use a dash attack in Smash. And as a cool detail for this move, if you hold down the control stick when the dash attack is ending, the imposter will reform in their scrunched up crouching position, letting them dodge higher incoming attacks if they think they'll be vulnerable after the dash attack concludes. For their side tilt, this'll directly reference the same tongue stab kill animation seen in Among Us, where the imposter opens their monstrous mouth, then stabs their thin tongue forwards to impale their prey. The stabbing tongue can be angled up or down, and on top of that, it won't launch foes anywhere. It only deals damage while causing a lot of hit stun, making it a great move to use as a combo starter. However, it's a different story if you use it on the same foe again while they're still in that hit stun. Then it'll launch them away. The up tilt can also be a tongue stab, only this time it comes out of a mouth that opens on top of their cranium, stabbing the tongue straight up. The tongue can also be slightly angled here, though left or right this time, but unlike the side tilt, this move always launches foes. For the down tilt, this will have the imposter bring out a whole new way to use one of their most important tools for transportation: the vents. A vent just appears on the ground in front of the imposter, and they slam the vent door open, with the door smashing the feet of anyone too close. Hitting foes with this attack launches them into straighter angles, but if you use it on closer foes who are standing directly on top of the vent, they get launched into upward angles. Now for the imposter's smash attacks, these will be moves that'll allow you to really deceive your opponents and keep them guessing on what you'll do next. All three of their smash attacks starts with the imposter hiding inside of a hole, the same kind that you see on the Polis map, and they continue to hide in the hole as they charge their smash attack. Then once the smash is released, they jump out of the hole to make their strike. It's set up like this for a few reasons. One, to mimic a common occurrence in Among Us where a crewmate tries to do a task that's stationed right next to a vent, only for the imposter to pop out and kill them when they least expect it. And two, having all three smash attacks start in the same way makes it impossible for opponents to tell what attack the imposter plans on using, letting the imposter fake them out and get in some cheat kills. They aren't invincible while in the hole though. Very low to the ground attacks can knock them out of it. As for the attacks themselves, the side smash will have the imposter jump out and start stabbing their knife from high to low very quickly a total of 5 times, directly mimicking the actual knife kill animation. This is the smash attack that leaves them the most vulnerable, but it does the most damage, and just like with the jab, it deals a ton of extra damage if you can use it on foes from behind. The up smash has the imposter morph the top of their head into a sharp cone shape, which gets stabbed straight upwards while they jump out of the hole. This one has them jump decently high, giving it the best vertical range, and it could lead to potentially jumping over those aforementioned lower attacks, but the end lag might not let that matter most of the time. And the down smash has the imposter poke out of the hole and swing their knife low to the ground forwards, then immediately low to the ground behind to hit on both sides of themselves from front to back. This is the safest smash attack, with it keeping the imposter close to the ground to let them continue to dodge under those higher attacks. It also technically has the least amount of end lag of the 3 smash attacks, but it's still easily punishable if used undesirably. For the aerials, the neutral air can have the imposter morph its body into a star shape, stabbing into 5 different directions to launch foes on contact, but its power quickly weakens after the initial activation frames. This move actually references one of the original concept designs for the crewmates, back when they could have been star-shaped instead of bean-shaped. The forward air can have it stab its tongue straight forwards, then immediately follows up with an extending bite from its toothy mouth over the area that its tongue stabbed into. Foes hit by the tongue are stuck on it, ripe to be mauled by the large bite that soon follows, which is what launches them away. The back air can have the imposter morph its little backpack into a large spine that stabs straight backwards. It has decent reach, but it does require a bit of precision to land that sweet spot. The up air can have them use that same cranial mouth that they used for their up tilt, only this time it does a large bite upwards, making this move one with a bit of horizontal scoop and a sweet spot when the mouth does its chomp. And the down air can have the imposter morph the bottoms of their feet into large spines that stab straight downwards, a move that can spike if they land the sweet spot. The imposter will grab with one hand and pummel by decking the foe in the face. For their forward throw, it reenacts the exact gun kill animation that they do in Among Us, where they punch the foe to the ground, pulls out and cocks a pistol, then shoots it at the foe, which launches them away. The back throw can be an innovative version of that, having the imposter toss the foe to the ground, falling to the other side of them, then pulls out the pistol and shoots them away, only this time they're launched backwards. The up throw can have the imposter open their large mouth and swallows the foe whole, then spits them out of their cranial mouth, shooting them straight up into the air. And for the down throw, they reenact another kill animation which simply has them snap the foe's neck, dealing damage and forcing them to lie on the ground. Alrighty, strap yourselves in folks, cause the imposter's special moves are going to be what drives all of this home. For the imposter's neutral special, they'll summon what could be a crewmate's worst enemy. Another crewmate! Seriously, how often have you seen innocent crewmates get thrown off by other crewmates? Granted, that's usually because of the deception of the imposter stringing things along, but I digress. That whole scenario and even more can be recreated thanks to the imposter's neutral special. Activating it summons a single crewmate of a differing color from the imposter, and from there it kinda just does its own thing. It walks around, might stop on occasion to perform a random task, the works. Like usual, harmless on their own. But if you make the crewmate suspicious, that's a different story. Every single player, the imposter included, can make the crewmate suspicious of them through their actions. And with a 3-strike rule in place, if a player makes the crewmate suspicious 3 times, that crewmate will stop what they're doing and will attempt to eject them. And how do they do that? The crewmate will chase after the player they're suspicious of, and if they catch them, will carry that player to the nearest ledge and will straight up throw them off the stage. And before I continue, I want to give credit where credit is due. I got the idea of crewmates physically tossing players off of the stage by the user named AppleJuiceGang. They suggested this to me not as an idea for a moveset, but actually as an alternative idea for the assist trophy, and I ended up liking it so much that I wanted to have it in this moveset. So full credit to AppleJuiceGang for the idea of crewmates throwing players off of the stage, especially since it will be such an integral part of this special. The distance that the crewmates throw the players depends on their damage, so they are able to KO suspicious players whose damage were high enough. If you want to avoid this fate, however, you're gonna have to take the crewmate out. They die after taking a combined 15% of damage, cause otherwise, they follow you relentlessly until you're in their grasp and they toss you off the stage, after which the 3 strikes that they had against you are reset to 0. If you were caught by them, you can mash buttons to escape, but it won't forget about you if you do so. It'll just continue to track you down, and escaping becomes harder to do at higher damage percents. Aside from that though, the only other way for a crewmate to stop chasing you around is if it gets 3 strikes on a different player, from which they'll start chasing that player around instead, and the strikes you had will go away. And like I said, all of this does pertain to the imposter as well. So in order to get the most use out of this special, they'll need to act like a crewmate around the summoned crewmate, influencing the situation to make that crewmate suspicious of other players and make them think that those players are the imposters. As for what can make the crewmate suspicious, landing attacks on other players while in the crewmate's line of sight will add 1 strike of suspicion. Attacking the crewmate with a projectile also adds a strike, but only to the player who's in their line of sight after they're shot, meaning that you could shoot the crewmate, then manipulate the situation to make the crewmate think that a different player shot them instead. On the other hand, if you attack the crewmate with a melee attack and it lives, that's an automatic 3 strikes, and they'll immediately chase down the player who attacked them. So like I brought up before, if a separate player attacks the crewmate with a melee attack while they're chasing down someone else, that crewmate will divert their attention to that new aggressor. Now there are actually more things than what I just mentioned that can make the crewmate suspicious, but those pertain to the other specials, so I'll explain those when I get to them. Now when a crewmate is killed, the imposter will have to wait for 10 seconds before they can summon a new one. This is because the slain crewmate's body will lie there during those 10 seconds, so you have to wait for that body to disappear before you can summon a new crewmate. Though this allows me to now get into another advantage that the imposter gets with their neutral special, something that can be done whenever a body is discovered: reporting. But this can only be used while a crewmate they summoned is already out, or during that 10-second recharge after the crewmate is killed. So during those times, pressing neutral special will have the imposter use report. Using report has the imposter pull out a microphone to shout into, which can do different things depending on the situation. Using it while a crewmate is out will have it get their attention, causing the crewmate to walk to where the imposter made the report to, allowing you to influence the placement of the crewmate. But you only get to do this 3 times for free per crewmate. Each time you do it after that will add a strike of suspicion to the imposter, so using it 6 times overall could lead to you getting ejected. You don't want to make it look too obvious after all. The other advantage you get with reporting is when you use it right next to a slain crewmate. This has you report the body. You have to be close to the dead body for this to work, otherwise nothing will happen. But doing this will actually summon 2 more temporary report crewmates, as if everyone just showed up for the meeting. Now, if an opposing player is within a certain, rather generous range of the body when the imposter summons the 2 new report crewmates, even if it was the imposter who killed the crewmate, those 2 new crewmates will immediately start chasing after that player, which from there it'll play out just like it does normally with the single crewmate. Only this time, since there's 2, it becomes doubly hard to escape if they catch you, and when they throw you off the stage, they throw you twice as hard. And after they do throw a player off, they immediately vanish. They don't stick around. But these 2 crewmates can also be killed, and if they are, their bodies vanish instantly, giving you no time to report them. You can only report the normal summoned crewmate. There is a risk to reporting bodies though, because if no other player is within range of the body when you report it, the 2 report crewmates will think that it's a self-report and will chase down the imposter instead. And that's the gist of the imposter's neutral special. Just like when playing Among Us, you can use this crewmate to manipulate the situation into your favor. So even if you have a hard time taking out the other crewmates yourself, sometimes you can turn other crewmates into third imposters and let them take out the others for you. But it is a double-edged sword. You gotta play your cards right, because if you mess up and give yourself away, that just increases the chances of you being thrown overboard instead. But luckily for the imposter, they do have more tools at their disposal to make pulling off their act all the easier. For instance, their side special. For this special, this'll have the imposter do another crafty trick to help divert everyone else's attention: sabotage. Using side special will have the imposter lay down a bomb in the spot where they're standing, or just drops it straight down if they use it in the air. This bomb has a 15-second timer on it, and once that timer runs out, it results in a very large and very catastrophic explosion. One that takes up huge amounts of area, being able to cover the majority of most stages. This explosion generally will KO all players that it hits, the imposter included. It is that powerful. However, the thing about this bomb is, just like timed sabotages in Among Us, it can be defused. Any player who uses the grab button right next to the bomb will automatically turn it off, causing the bomb to just disappear. Whether it explodes or is defused, the imposter will have to wait for about 20 seconds before they're able to put down another one. Only one bomb per imposter player can be on screen at a time. A funny thing though, if a summoned crewmate is on the field when you drop a bomb, that crewmate will prioritize turning it off, making a beeline to its location to defuse it. This can be another way to influence the crewmate's movements, but on top of that, if there's a player within a certain range of the bomb when the crewmate turns it off, the crewmate will wonder why that player didn't turn it off themselves, thus adding a strike of suspicion towards that player. Next, for the imposter's up special, they'll of course be using their most reliable means of travel, venting. By all means, it's a type of teleport, having the imposter disappear into a vent, then reappears a fixed distance away in any chosen direction from another vent that appears in the spot that they're traveling to, after which they go into freefall if it was used in the air. Now, there's actually a lot of great ways to take advantage of this special. For instance, you can cancel your down tilt into it, implying that the imposter slammed the vent grate open, then immediately jumped in to get away. On top of that, if you use the up special so that you reappear on the ground, you can cancel that into any of your smash attacks, changing the hole that they leap out of into the vent and letting you get the jump on players who try to predict where you're traveling to. There is a downside though. Using this special in front of a summoned crewmate will add a single strike of suspicion to the imposter. I know normally a crewmate seeing an imposter vent is an immediate giveaway, like, duh, right? But for the sake of balancing, it'll only add one strike, not three. And finally, for the imposter's down special, this'll have them take advantage of the emergency button, used if someone wants to call a meeting without the need of reporting a body. This special will act as a counter of sorts. Using it has the imposter press the emergency button and a single temporary crewmate will appear right next to them, of which I'll be referring to as a counter crewmate. And if the imposter is attacked while the counter crewmate is present, they immediately see the attacking player as suspicious and will pick them up to attempt to throw them overboard, which from there it plays out the exact same as if the summoned crewmate finds you suspicious. Speaking of which though, if a summoned crewmate is on stage when a counter crewmate is doing its thing, the summoned one will actually go to aid the counter one, making it so that they can both carry and toss the player, just like when the two temporary report crewmates can when bodies are reported. Another strong special to manipulate the battle in your favor, but like most moves, there is some risks. If you use the emergency button but then don't get hit, that adds a strike to the imposter from the counter crewmate. And if you use the down special 3 times in a row without getting hit, then the counter crewmate will start going after the imposter instead. But any strikes you have will go away if you can get hit while countering before you get that third strike. The strikes also go away once the counter crewmate throws you off the stage or is killed. Though if the counter crewmate is killed, whether by your hand or another player's, that makes the down special unavailable for 15 seconds. And that's it! Using the tools available to you, manipulate the course of the match using the actions of the crewmates to get rid of the players who are trying to get rid of you. It requires a lot of skill, strategy, and above all else, deceit. But utilizing those to their fullest will be what allows you to get away with your crimes. Because otherwise, if you let yourself become too predictable or reckless, it will end up being you who's ejected from the game. But, speaking of ejection, for the Imposter's Final Smash! They'll have a cinematic Final Smash that starts with them pressing the emergency button. This creates a large sound wave, and all players within range will be pulled in. It then plays out with the imposter, the quad players, and a bunch of other crewmates all sitting around a table. The imposter will immediately point their finger at the player who was closest to them when they initiated the final smash, leading to them and all of the other crewmates voting for that player to kick them off. It then cuts to that player being ejected into space and the imposter snickering into the camera, ending the cinematic. Being the player who gets ejected into space deals a ton of damage and launches that foe away, but if their damage goes over 100% during so, it's an automatic KO. On top of that, any other players who were pulled into the smash will also take damage, but in a different way. When the imposter and the crewmates all vote for the player who was closest to the imposter, the other players will be shown voting for the imposter, which ends up looking bad to the other crewmates. So even though they were right, to the other crewmates, their credibility was damaged, and thus they take actual damage and are launched away when the cinematic ends. But they don't take nearly as much as the poor sucker who got themselves ejected. Since the Among Us characters all already have actual colored alts in their game, this makes assigning alternate colors fairly easy. The issue here is that there are more than 8 available colors, so for now, I'm just going to pick 8 colors that help the best with the color variety, with red being the default, then having orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, black, and white. The remaining colors could be used for the crewmates that appear for the imposter's specials, though the colors of the crewmates are completely randomized, and they can even be the colors of the alts, but they can never have a color that's currently already being used by an imposter player. Another issue that I'm sure is on plenty of people's minds is how the optional crewmate outfits could be implemented. Best I can think of is to do the same thing for them that can be done for the Team Fortress 2 characters that I've made movesets for. Pick your color, then select the imposter's head to change between potential outfits. Though the easier route could be to just strictly keep the imposter bare and only have the outfits show up on the crewmates that appear in the special attacks. Either idea could work. For the stage intro, we see a chair sitting there, then the imposter warps in on it and stands up, after which they shush the camera, referencing the opening animation that always plays at the start of every match. For taunts, the first can once again have the imposter look into the camera to shush it, but this time they follow it up with a small chuckle while their visor emits a red glimmer, the same that we see on various pieces of imposter art in the game. The second can show a random crewmate ghost appear and just circle around the imposter while they just stand there, referencing what most crewmate players do when they're killed. And as a small bonus detail, at first the color of the ghost is random, but after a crewmate dies, the color of the ghost becomes that of the killed crewmates. And for the last taunt, going back to the shape-shifting yet deceptive nature of the imposters, the imposter could actually morph their body into one of the other opposing players and then uses their taunt. After which they turn back to normal. And as for what taunt they'd use, it'd be random at first, but after the player that they're copying uses a taunt, then the imposter will always default to that taunt. A whole new level of disrespect. And honestly, I don't know what's worse here. Getting taunted or getting taunted by your own taunt. But finally, for the imposter's victory animations, their first can just show a ton of crewmate ghosts floating around the screen while the imposter just stands there staring blankly. The second can show the imposter fallen from above, then upon landing, gives a thumbs up. This is a reference to 2 of the ejection animations, the falling one being from both Myra HQ and the airship, and the thumbs up one coming from falling into the lava at the Polis map. And for their final victory animation, it starts with the imposter's back to the camera, then as it pans closer, the imposter turns its head and we see a red glimmer coming from its visor. And that does it for What If the Imposter Was in Smash? Real quick before I end things off, I'm sure that some people are wondering what becomes of the Among Us Assist trophy now that I've made this moveset. Well, nothing, really. Remember, there's more than one of the crewmates in the imposters, so there's really no reason to think that both the moveset and the Assist trophy couldn't exist at the same time. At least that's the way I see it. In which case, if you enjoyed what you saw and would like to see even more characters be given possible Smash movesets, be sure to subscribe! And if you want to support the show and help me be able to make more content for you guys, you can click the join button either below the video or my main page to become a sponsor for my channel. Doing so will get you access to my private Discord as well as channel emotes. You can guarantee that your name appears in my videos, or even get the option of knowing what if character is coming up next a week in advance. I really appreciate anything that can be contributed. And of course, if you have a character that you want to see be given a possible Smash moveset, leave a comment down below or contact me on Twitter at BrawlFan1 on Twit. I hope you all enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching!